Picture this. You're sitting at a dealership. The salesperson slides a piece of paper across the desk and points to one number, your monthly payment, $679 a month. And honestly, that doesn't sound that bad. You've seen worse. You're thinking, I can swing that. So you sign. You drive home in a brand new car that smells incredible and handles like a dream. And for about 3 weeks, life is good. Then the first payment hits. Then the insurance bill. Then you realize the gas on this thing is $40 more a month than your old car. Then a year in, you check what the car is actually worth, and it's already lost $8,000 in value, and you still owe $41,000 on it. That moment, right there, is what the financial industry is counting on you never doing the math on. If you want more psychology-based insights on money, investing, and wealth building, make sure to subscribe. And if this video helps you think differently about money, give it a thumbs up. Today we're going to talk about one of the most financially dangerous decisions that most people treat like it's completely normal, buying or leasing a new car. And I'm not going to tell you cars are bad. I'm going to show you exactly how the system is designed, why it costs most people far more than they ever realize, and what the people who actually build wealth do differently. Because here's the thing. The car you drive might be the single biggest wealth-destroying decision you make in your 30s and 40s, and almost nobody is talking about it honestly. Let's start with the reality of where we are right now. As of late 2025, the average new car payment in America hit a record $767 a month. That's according to Experian's State of the Automotive Finance Market report, one of the most comprehensive data sources on auto lending in the country. $767 every single month, and nearly 1 in 5 people, 18.91% of all new car loan borrowers, are paying over $1,000 a month just for their car payment. Not insurance, not gas, not maintenance, just the loan. Now you might be thinking, okay, but that's just the cost of having a car in 2025. Prices are high. That's life. And here's where I want to stop you. Because that kind of thinking is exactly how this trap works. The monthly payment is not the price of the car. It is a psychological tool. And I want you to really hear that. Dealerships are professionally trained. There are entire sales courses built around this to move your attention away from the total cost of the vehicle and anchor it on one number, what you pay per month. Because a $43,000 car sounds like a lot of money. But $679 a month? That feels manageable. That feels like a Netflix subscription scaled up a bit. And once your brain accepts the monthly number as the real price, you stop doing the math that actually matters. Here's the full math they don't show you. That $43,000 car at 7% interest over 69 months, the average loan term right now, costs you $53,000 by the time you're done. You paid $10,000 extra just for the privilege of not having the cash up front. And you're doing that on an asset that is losing value the entire time. That's not a car purchase. That's a $10,000 fee disguised as convenience. Here's what most people don't realize. When you borrow $43,000 to buy a new car, which is the average new vehicle loan right now, at an interest rate of around 7%, stretched over the average loan term of 68.9 months, that's almost 6 years. You are paying somewhere between $9,000 and $11,000 in interest alone. Interest alone on a vehicle that is simultaneously losing value every single day you own it. You are paying interest on a depreciating asset. Read that sentence again. You are paying the bank for the privilege of watching your investment shrink. And this is the second trap, the silent one, depreciation. Most people think of depreciation as an abstract accounting term. It's not. It's cash. It's real money leaving your net worth every single month, and it never shows up on your bank statement. The numbers are brutal. In year 1 alone, your new car loses between 15 and 20% of its value. That's according to ALEA's 2025 driving costs study and Kelley Blue Book's cost-to-own data. On a $45,000 car, that's $7,000 to $9,000 gone in just 12 months. You didn't crash it. You didn't abuse it. You just drove it. By year 5, the average car has lost 60% of its original value. That $45,000 car is now worth about $18,000. You've lost $27,000 in value. $27,000. Gone. AAA calculated the average annual depreciation cost at $4,334. And that's on top of your loan payment, your insurance, your fuel, your maintenance. When you add it all up, the true all-in cost of owning a new vehicle in 2025 is $11,577 a year. That's $965 a month, not $767, nearly $1,000 every month for a car. Now look, depreciation hits everyone, whether you buy or lease. But here's the critical difference. When you buy and hold long, you eventually stop paying for depreciation. The car's value stabilizes. You keep driving it, you keep using it, and eventually, you're driving it for free. When you lease, or constantly trade up, you're permanently stuck in the steepest part of the depreciation curve. You are always paying the maximum depreciation cost. Always. And that's by design. This is where it gets interesting, and a little alarming. Edmunds released data in early 2026 showing that 30.9% of people trading in a car toward a new purchase had negative equity on their existing loan. Almost 1 in 3. Think about that. Almost 1 in every 3 people. The average amount owed on those underwater trade-ins was $7,183. And what do most people do with that debt? They roll it into the next car loan. So now, you're borrowing $43,000 for a new car, plus another $7,000 in leftover debt from the last one. And the dealer just says, "Don't worry, we'll wrap it all in." And somehow, the monthly payment barely moves. Why? Because they extended your loan term. Again, this is the debt spiral, hiding in plain sight. And it's not some fringe problem, it's everywhere. More than 5 million Americans are currently behind on their auto loan payments. Subprime auto loan delinquency hit 6.65% in 2025, higher than levels recorded during the Great Recession. VantageScore, one of the major credit scoring agencies, now classifies auto loans as the riskiest credit product in America, excluding student loans. These aren't random statistics. They're clues. They're warning signs. They're the fingerprints of a system that benefits from keeping you in a payment cycle forever. Now let's talk about leasing, because if buying has traps, leasing has a whole different set of them, and they're designed to look like savings. The pitch for leasing is simple. Lower monthly payment, drive a nicer car, hand it back in 3 years, and get something new. It sounds clean. It sounds smart. It sounds efficient. And for certain people, in certain situations, we'll get to that. It actually can be. But for most people, it's a masterclass in paying for something you never own. Here's the thing about how a lease is actually priced. You're not paying for the car. You're paying for the car's depreciation during the time you drive it, plus interest, called the money factor, plus fees. The reason the monthly payment is lower than a loan is not because leasing is a better deal. It's because you're only financing a portion of the car's value, and you hand back the rest of it at the end. You pay for the car going from $45,000 to $30,000 in value. Then you give back the $30,000 car. You walk away with nothing, and that's before we get to the fees, because the end of a lease is where the real billing happens. Mileage overages run anywhere from 10 to 30 cents per mile, over your contract limit. Lease End's 2025 transaction data from nearly 20,000 real lease buyouts found that the average driver was already 954 miles over their cap at lease end, and heavy drivers, like Jeep Wrangler lessees, averaged 8,740 miles over the limit. That's roughly $2,600 in overage fees, just from driving normally. On top of that, you've got disposition fees of $300 to $500, excessive wear charges, and in some cases, early termination fees that can run into thousands of dollars. Consumer Reports put it plainly in their 2026 analysis. Leasing locks most people into a cycle of continuous payments, with nothing to show at the end. Now you might be thinking, okay, but I get a new car every 3 years. I always have the latest safety features, the latest tech. Isn't that worth something? And sure, psychologically, it feels worth something. That's exactly the feeling leasing companies are selling. But here's a question worth sitting with. Is having a new car every 3 years actually improving your financial life? Or is it just improving how your financial life looks? There's a concept in behavioral finance called lifestyle inflation. It's the tendency to upgrade your standard of living whenever you have the opportunity, often before it actually makes sense. New car every 3 years, bigger apartment, better phone. Each upgrade feels earned. Each one feels small on its own. But together, they create a ceiling on wealth accumulation that most people never break through, because all their surplus income is going toward maintaining an image of prosperity, rather than actually building it. Here's the math that changes how you see this. The average person who buys a car, pays it off over 5 years, then keeps driving it for another 3 to 4 years payment-free, gets a window of 36 to 48 months, with zero car payment. If they take that $767 a month, the average new car payment, and redirect it into a broad index fund during those years at a 7% average annual return, they accumulate somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 in new wealth from a car they already owned, that they were just driving. That is the wealth gap. That is the difference between people who look wealthy and people who actually are. The person perpetually leasing never gets those years. The person rolling one loan into the next never gets those years. They are always in a payment, always feeding the system. The payment-free window isn't a reward for being patient. It is the actual strategy. It's where the compounding starts, and it's completely invisible to anyone who only thinks in monthly payments. So, what does the right move actually look like? Because I'm not here to just identify the problem. I want to give you the exact framework. There are 4 moves that change everything. First, stop thinking in monthly payments. Every time you catch yourself asking, "Can I afford this per month?" replace that question with, "What is the total cost of this decision over 5 years? Interest paid? Depreciation absorbed? Insurance? Fees? All of it." That one mental shift alone separates you from 90% of people walking into that dealership. Second, let depreciation work for you instead of against you. Buy used. A car that's 2 to 3 years old has already taken the biggest depreciation hit. Someone else paid for that first-year loss. You're now buying it at something much closer to real market value. Pick a reliable brand: Toyota, Honda, Lexus, something known to hold up and hold value. And you've just eliminated the most expensive part of new car ownership before you even sign anything. Third, if you do buy new, cap your loan at 48 months, not 60, not 69. The average term right now is almost 69 months. And that's exactly why 1 in 3 trade-ins are underwater. A shorter term means a higher monthly payment, yes, but dramatically less total interest, and a much faster path to equity. You want to own the car before the car owns you. Fourth, and this is the one that actually builds wealth, hold the car past the payoff date. Drive it payment-free for 3, 4, even 5 years. Then take that $767 a month and put it to work. That is the move. That is the gap between the person who looks successful and the person who actually is. As for leasing, if you are a business owner who can write off the payments, if you genuinely drive under 12,000 miles a year, and if you have no interest in equity or long-term ownership, there's a case for it. But if you're leasing because the monthly payment looked lower and you wanted something nice, that's the trap. That's the dealership winning, not you. Here's the real thing I want you to take from this video. The car industry, dealerships, lenders, manufacturers, it's not evil. It's just extraordinarily well designed to extract maximum lifetime value from your income. Every number you see on that contract, the payment, the term, the trade-in offer, it's optimized for them. Your job is to come in with a completely different frame. Stop thinking about what you can afford per month. Start thinking about total cost, depreciation curve, interest paid, and years of ownership. That mental shift alone puts you in a different category from most people walking into that showroom. Wealth isn't built by driving new cars. It's built by the gap between what you earn and what you send out the door every month, and then putting that gap to work. The person who drives a paid-off 5-year-old Camry and invests the difference is, without exaggeration, on a completely different financial trajectory than the person perpetually rolling from one car payment to the next. The Camry driver just doesn't look it yet, But in 10 years, they will. So, the next time you're sitting at that dealership and they slide that paper across the desk, look past the monthly number. Do the full math. Ask what you're actually paying over the life of the loan. Ask what the car will be worth at year 3 and year 5. Ask yourself whether this decision is building your future or just making right now feel a little more comfortable. Because that question, that moment of pause, is worth more than any financing deal they'll ever offer you.